Let's start the podcast.
I could put you in the brig for what you've done, but I won't do it.
Two L's, one pod, spinoff of the web series The Two Dicks. It's on YouTube. Check it out. I'm Al Romas. I'm on the icon of the seas, and that is Al Ducharme. I don't know where he is. This is a morning record, early AM. He's an hour behind me, I guess, because we didn't change our clocks. You changed yours last night. Let's check in. He's in his hotel. Alfred, how are you?
I'm well. I'm across the street from LaGuardia Airport, and I'm staying at the beautiful Hampton Inn. And
Wow.
so they don't have a
Yeah.
restaurant here. They have like a little bistro set up. Not even, it's like a store. And
Yeah.
then they said our sister hotel next door, the LaGuardia Plaza, has a full-on restaurant. So when I checked in last night, I went over there, sat at the bar, did my usual. I said, I'm going to skip the burger. I'm going to get a margarita pizza. How can you screw that up? This is New York City, margarita pizza. Took like 35 minutes. It's a pre-made pizza that they just heated up and then they sprinkled some dried basil on and stuck it back in the oven and burnt it. It was awful. And then I come back to I come back. It was $19. It was $18.95. And it was literally a pre-made $1.50 pizza.
Obly. Yeah.
So I go back to my hotel and I look, and in the lobby there's like, it's Queens. There's a gazillion pizza places within 100 yards. New York style pizza fresh out of the oven.
Yeah.
$10.99 for a big pie.
Damn it.
Amateur move, man. Amateur move.
Yeah. Yeah, especially you're lived in New York for many years.
13 years, yeah.
You can't buy but Hampton Inn pizza, but I get it. I know travel.
But it was LaGuardia Plaza, and it was like, you could tell it was an upscale hotel.
Yeah.
Because there's a Marriott across the street, and I've had their pizza before. It's nothing like this. It's an actual pizza. So,
yeah.
Disappointment.
I was watching a YouTube thing a week ago, whatever. It was like rock and roll in the 70s. And remember David Cassidy, how big he was at a time, early 70s. He was massive. Partridge Family. Anyway,
well, I was born in the mid 70s. So.
Yeah. Well, you might have heard of him, David Cassidy, Partridge Family. Look it up on YouTube. But he played Shea Stadium, which is he didn't sell it out, but he played Shea Stadium. And anyway, it just showed the documentary showed how the highs and the lows. And then after the Shea Stadium concert, he's staying at the LaGuardia Motel Inn, and it's just the shittiest hotel, and David Cassidy's there after just playing Shea Stadium, and that's probably where you are or the Plaza is now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I didn't even recognize LaGuardia Airport. I haven't been there in years. It's brand new.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. It's like state of the art. I couldn't believe it. Because we go to these airports and they're constantly under construction. For years. And then finally they open up a new concourse, a new wing. But this was, as far as I know, complete. Again, I used to fly out of LaGuardia all the time back in my college tour days in the 90s. So it was, it needed some updating back then. But I could see how this location probably was that very place that you're talking about, LaGuardia Inn.
Mm-hmm. The LaGuardia Motor Inn. And just the dichotomy where you go, this guy was playing Shea Stadium. And now he's in literally open the front door and you're in the parking lot. That shitty motel, one bed, a chair, a paper mat in the bathroom for a towel on the floor. That's what
that was my regular when I was doing the college tours, especially in these small towns out in the middle, wherever it was, Midwest or whatever, cornfields. And then that was it. There were two motels, one on each side of town, a truck stop one and That
Yeah.
order in. Oh,
At least you get a blowjob in the truck stop once. You
right.
know what I mean? In the parking lot. But
Yeah.
those other ones, it's my like nemesis or whatever you want to. The word is I don't know kryptonite, but that thing I don't want to see one of those ever again in my lifetime. I've been in enough. I feel like I've earned the right not to stay in a motel room again. And if it comes to that, I swear I'd sleep in the car if I had to. I'm not
Now,
checking into that thing.
we did stay in one a few years ago in
Oh,
upstate California. But it was the beginning of wine country. So the setting was definitely different. It was very well kept, mom and pop place.
that's
And it
different.
had charm. But
Yeah,
it was you open the door and that's the parking lot. But they had it coiffed bushes and there's mountains
it's
behind.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm talking, the one with the vending machine and the breezeway, and it doesn't. And then you have to go to the motor in office to get change because the
Yeah.
thing doesn't take $1.
And
That kind
Clyde's
of thing.
behind the counter looking at you. He's got
Yeah.
no front teeth. Yeah.
I did one on the road once, and I checked in, and the guy goes, "You want to use the pool?" And I go, I don't know. I mean, what a weird question. Do you want to use the pool at a hotel? I go, maybe. I don't think so. Why? $3.
Really? There was
I go, $3 for what? To use the pool? And he goes, yeah. And I go, where's the pool? And he goes, right there. And I look around the corner. It's an above ground pool, and the water's kind of green.
oh,
An above ground pool at a hotel.
at three
I go,
bucks.
and $3 to use it. I go, I'm not going to use it. I'll be okay. He's like, all right.
Wow.
Yeah. That was
Wow.
one of those where it was like an old beat up motel, but then it was like this like kind of racist area where they have to put American owned, the big sign, American owned, because they had foreigners buying it.
Made in America, America owned,
America owned.
America.
Yeah.
Big
So
day coming up. Big day tomorrow because by the time this
right,
podcast, yeah.
right. Yeah. Did you get your vote in? Did you
I
make
had
your
to do I
voice
had to do
heard?
I had to do a mail-in vote.
Who'd you mail?
I
Who
don't
was he?
discuss my political voting.
Oh, M
Yeah.
I Mail. I
I
got you.
go, yeah,
I went the other way.
yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
You don't want to tell us who you voted for? That's weird.
Did you do the early
No, this is the
voting in person?
first election in my lifetime. I'm not voting. I just I can't.
It's
I can't.
I know.
It'd be hypocritical of me because
Well,
I don't
my
want
good
either one.
friend,
To be honest.
he did 20 years military.
Mhm.
He has a civilian job now, but it's associated with veterans, veterans benefits and whatnot. He works with in that political atmosphere, and he said that he just said he couldn't do it. That's all I'm
There you
saying.
go.
I don't want to reveal too much.
Yeah. No, there's no choice, and anyone. Well, you don't have a choice anyway, but this one certainly you don't, and couldn't do it. So you know, I
Well,
don't
I'm
know.
California. We know where my vote's going, so
Oh yeah.
I don't
Uh,
have control over that.
no, no, exactly, exactly. And that's I mean, I don't know. New York was pretty wild, but I don't. He's not going to flip New York, but he seems to think so. They had that big rally at the Garden, and then all these, self-important, non-working comedians, or even some working, but have to have a view on Tony Hinchcliffe, who's an insult comic. That's kind of what he does, and they were all offended. And like, seriously, seriously, what do you? I don't know. I don't get it. I
I
don't get
told
it.
you I was with four Puerto Rican gentlemen, and I said, first of all, I go, this is going to sound ridiculous, but it's out of context. And if you're not familiar with him being a roaster, I said, I don't know why he was at the Trump rally, but I said, I haven't seen the whole thing, but he picks on everybody.
Yeah,
And apparently, information that we discussed, there was a garbage strike in
Mhm.
Puerto Rico, correct?
Yeah,
So the garbage was
it's piled
piling
up.
up.
Hmm.
So he said,
It's a
there's a,
floating island of garbage.
right. So he was making a strike
Hmm.
garbage thing, and he's an insult comic. But
Hmm.
the soundbite that was grabbed was he was just
Right.
picking Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, it was out of context with if you watch the set with what he's saying, it kind of comes out of
Hmm.
left field for no reason, like
Right.
out of nowhere. He's like, but then he does the thing about a black guy, wearing a hat that looks like a watermelon. No, I don't know. Was there it's like Rickles, we always go, hey, look at the Chinese guy over here. There was no Chinese guy. Yeah, there's no Chinese guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was a black guy with a hat that looked like a watermelon or not, but maybe. But then he went and did the Puerto Rico, and you go, well, what does that have to do with anything? But just the idea of these comics, like Mark Maron, I saw even like guys who were, successful. He wrote a thing, and somebody else wrote a thing. Like, they're horrified. That's not comedy, and blah. It's like,
But those are also
we.
left-leaning
But so
Democratic
what?
comedians and
But the
jumping on
idea
a
of the
bandwagon.
comedy to shit on a comedian is just ridiculous. I don't, this is what he does. What do you think he was going to do? You know?
Why are you surprised?
Yeah, yeah. And then all these other comic, like certain people we know posting little videos and how they disagree with it. And okay, you know what I mean? Go to your, they're at a motor inn tonight, but they're
Oh, there's a
they're
couple of people we know we won't mention by
yeah,
name. They were just
yeah,
ridiculous. I'm like,
yeah.
don't make it
Come
seem
on.
like you're significant on that level. You're
You
not.
don't matter. And
You barely matter to your own family. And some people are waiting to
yes,
collect the life insurance money.
yes, we couldn't be more accurate.
There's no names. We're not mentioning
No, no
names.
names, but
We know the
put the
couple of
pieces
people that we're
together,
referring
folks.
to. Yeah.
What happened? You know what? I gotta tell you this, man. This was pretty weird. The first night, so I've been here a week. No, this is my second week on Icon. I was
Jesus.
here.
I thought you just left the other day. I can't keep
I know.
track.
Well, yeah, we'll go through your timeline. You've been all over the place. But anyway, I do the first show, first night, first show, and I do my
Mm.
joke that I've been doing for 800 years of Paul McCartney's ex-wife had one leg, and a
Mhm.
guy in the front row takes off his leg. It happened
No.
again. It happened again.
Oh
But
my God. This 3 years later?
yeah, but the difference, this was a cruise, and it was the first night. And people, so he raised these guys will do the same thing. They raise their prosthetic up in the air, and the crowd kind of went, ooh,
Just
oh.
the opposite of Vasani's.
Yes. A comedy
It,
club where people paid to get in and wanted to have fun, and a cruise comedy club where the first night, especially, they're just checking off a box like, oh, we did comedy, then we're going to do Aqua Show, then we're going to, you know what I mean? It's
we're
not
going
a
to do
comedy
Grease,
audience.
Mamma
Yeah.
Mia.
Yeah. A Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
Well, is it
So,
Oz? Yeah.
yeah, we got So, I don't hold it because the guy I can tell he's holding it in the air and the crowd was like, ooh, ew. So I didn't grab it and put it over my head or
Like the
anything. I
Statue
just
of Liberty, like you did of
yeah,
Vasani's. You
exactly.
became a comedy god, and it was your girlfriend Kelly's first time seeing you, and
That's right.
she was like, "Move
That's
in.
right.
You're moving in with me, pal."
That's right. Exactly. I said never go to a show again. That's it. I'll never top it. But this crowd was like, ooh, not sure what to do with that. And I go, oh, so then I went the other way, just kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'll never do that joke again. Ooh, yeah. And then afterwards, a couple people came up to me during the week. They were like, that was very professional the way you handled that. Very professional. And I was like, oh, thank you. I mean, like, I'm thinking, geez, I wanted to put it above my head and, fuck it. But couldn't do that. So anyway, but first night, first show, you know what I mean? It's just like, God damn it. So that's twice in 3 years. And you wonder, I maybe wonder, I wonder how many prosthetics have been in the crowd throughout the 3 years and didn't,
Well,
just sat
with
quietly, but must have
veterans
been
and
hundreds. Yeah.
diabetes epidemic, I would say it's pretty high.
Yeah. Hundreds at least, maybe 1,000, but but two now have taken it off. But it was just interesting how a comedy club on a Saturday night is, the crowd went nuts, and then a cruise comedy club, they were kind of worried. They were all worried.
They were,
I
yeah,
think
they were a little
some for me,
sensitive.
some for him. Like,
Where
what's
was
going
the
to
majority? Where
happen?
was the majority of your audience from?
Uh, Here, I guess the majority might probably Florida. Though we do
Really?
get a lot of
Hmm.
international, a
You
lot
get
of
international,
international
and you get a
people.
lot of snowbirds coming up from the northern sensitive states, right?
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're in
Well,
one right now, aren't you?
I am, and get this.
Yeah.
Guess what's happening today? We have the time change, one
I
hour
didn't
back, fall
participate.
back.
We
He's
were
not.
staying
Yeah.
Eastern till Thursday, then we go back. I don't know.
Wow. Well, anyways, daylight savings, fall back 1 hour. So I had that. I have New York City Marathon and then the election Tuesday. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening here. I'm like in this black hole of
What?
vortex here. I don't know what's happening.
Where are you going? You tell you joining a ship? What?
I'm going to be joining the lovely MSC. Which one? That's what I have to remember. Meraviglia. Is
Oh,
that what it's called?
I don't know. I've never heard of
Oh,
them.
sorry, Meraviglia.
I don't know these names are.
Meraviglia.
Yeah, it's like Holland America with their Zeinendam and
Get on
well,
here now.
yeah, I
It's
can't.
it sounds too German to me.
A little bit, a little bit. Um, okay, so tell us a little. You've been last time we spoke, last time we podded, I think you were in Rhode Island, and since
Uh,
then you
right.
you might have been in a
Um,
few other states
yeah, I was
of
visiting some
consciousness.
friends for 3 days. I stayed in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
I have visited some friends and attempted to visit others, and that didn't
Yeah,
work out.
they said no
Um,
way, get
no
him
way,
out of here.
Jose.
Yeah,
So when
no
that
way,
happened,
Alfredo.
a buddy of mine said, "Hey, it's 70 degrees out. There's a golf course a mile from here."
Mm-hmm.
So we went out, we played golf. I actually got 2 rounds of golf in.
When was the last time you played golf?
I played in Florida, in Naples, a few
Oh,
months
okay,
back. So,
okay.
you
What did
know,
you shoot? Did you keep score?
well, we started to keep score.
Yeah.
And
Then it
then we
was
tore it
fuck
up.
this.
We tore the card in half.
Yeah, fuck
But
this.
then I wanted to know the yardage because some of the yardage on the holes wasn't there. So I was like, I want to know because they moved the pins or whatever. Um, but yeah, it was just fun to be out there. If I break 100, there's a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
But he shoots in the 90s.
Okay.
Occasionally breaks that 90 mark into high
Yeah.
80s. So,
Very good.
mhm.
Yeah. So that's you're in Wait, now Rhode Island. You fly
I
off to
My sister Barbara got married, and I did the nuptials on the beach again. My third beach as an
You're a big
ordained
fan of the
minister.
beach. You like it with the
No, I
chilly weather.
don't.
You're a big fan. I'm kidding. Just kidding.
No, I did it in Aruba, and the winds.
Yeah.
I got the cards. They're flapping. You know, I almost lost one of them in Aruba last year. Then I would have had, to improvise. Does anybody have a fake leg I can hold up? It came all the way around.
There you go. What else got
Um,
lost in Aruba? Natalie Holloway. All right,
that
continue.
so
Hmm.
we did that. It was lovely. We were in a place called Corolla, Outer
Adam
Banks,
Carolla.
North. Well, it's spelled Corolla.
Oh,
It's like a Toyota Corolla. It's the same
I've seen it.
spelling,
I've seen it. I used to
but
work Nag's
but
Head.
you have to say Corolla, otherwise
Oh,
they know you're not from there.
I don't want to be from
So
here.
I don't
I'll
want to.
say Corolla.
I'm going to say Corolla.
That's right. Fuck off. Nobody wants to be from here. Place sucks. Gets hit by hurricanes every year, and it's cold in October. Was it a bit chilly on the beach?
For the rehearsal, it was, and then it warmed up about 5 degrees for the actual wedding. Not too bad. But for the
Okay.
rehearsal, we all went down. Now I had on layers. I had a t-shirt. I
Of
had
course you did.
I had a t-shirt, a shirt. I had a
Oh my.
North Face puffy
Oh jeez.
jacket.
Oh,
And then on
sir.
top of it, I had a zippy,
It's
a
not
little,
Alaska. It's
a little
fucking North
sporty zippy
Carolina.
thing. No, because
Oh,
I was going to be out there the longest. I had to go
all right.
be the first one out, last one to leave, and I had to go through the motions.
All
So all
right.
the girl now we have a luau that's taking
I'm
place
sorry.
on the other a luau. We're having a luau reception dinner that takes place on the other side of the dunes.
Oh,
So that
that
there's the
sounds
beach
good.
house, there's a bridge, a wooden bridge that we
Uh-huh.
cross, and it goes down to the dunes. But as soon as you go over, the winds are 20 miles an
Yeah.
hour stronger, and it's 5 to 7 degrees cooler.
Does anyone live there? Like whose idea was we this is the spot to get married in October? Like who's
My
or
niece's
why?
wedding 7 years prior, which I also performed the nuptials, it
Right.
was on the other side. There's the ocean side, and then there's the sound side,
Mm-hmm.
whatever sound that is. And they had it on the water. And I actually, my heel touched the water on the sound side 7 years ago. And the ground started to give way because they had the way they had it set up for the wedding party. We didn't have a big beach. And I was like right on the water and
Oh,
the ground started to give way. So I said, I don't want to do that again.
oh, that'd have been
But
great if you just
ju-
sunk.
yeah. So just as we were starting to do the actual ceremony on the wedding day, the
Uh-huh.
wedding planner comes up to me. She said, listen, she takes her phone. The tide's coming in now, and it's not at the peak yet.
Oh,
So just so you know, I noticed that they moved the ceremony, whatever it's called, the wooden structure,
gazebo,
semi
kind of
gazebo
a
with curtains. Yeah.
yeah.
They moved it like 25 feet further than the rehearsal.
Mm.
And then it was a wine ceremony where the bride and groom exchange wine, and they moved it to the opposite side.
That'd be great if they
And
just
then
whined how
then
much
they
they
had the
hate each
bride and
other.
groom switch sides because of the way the wind was blowing.
I
So
see.
all that rehearsal was
Yeah.
mirrored.
Right.
So Ducharme
Right.
was making mistakes, is what I'm trying to tell you.
I hear you.
I missed a cue or two. They said, because you have to step sideways now, and then you got to step that
Yeah.
way. And so
How big a wedding are we talking? How many
it was
people are there?
small. It was
So yeah, you
small.
can make a
40,
mistake, you
42
improvise a
people.
little, you throw a dick
My
joke
sister
out,
said,
you have fun.
my sister said, I don't want it stuffy. She goes, I want you to make jokes. I want you
Yeah.
to
This is her what, fifth
look,
wedding? I mean, come on.
seventh.
Seven. Jesus,
No,
Barb.
it's her second.
It's enough.
She got 20 plus years out of the first
All
one.
right, that's good. That's good.
Um, yeah, so it was, a bit of a challenge. The wind
But
was blowing.
where does she live? What state?
They live like 3 hours. Yeah, she lives 3 hours away in
Oh, they're
Williamsburg. So
Williamsburg.
in
Okay.
Virginia. So we're in
Yeah.
another state.
So it's a little destination
They
wedding-y.
go to it
Little
all the
bit,
time.
little bit.
They go to it 2 or 3 times a year to the Outer Banks, and
Okay.
they go down to Nag's Head,
Yeah.
Kill Devil's Hill. They go Corolla, Duck. Duck is where my niece was married. That's
Oh wow.
actually I like Duck. It's kind of
It's nice. I've been there
yeah.
many times.
Corolla's
And
very nice too, but
Kitty
it's another
Hawk is
Kitty
around there.
Hawk. Yeah, all of those areas. I perform there as well, and
Yeah.
but the rehearsal dinner, all the girls are dressed in their luau dresses, like it's in Hawaii, like it's 85
Hey now.
degrees. And I'm like,
All right.
hey, this is just a rehearsal. Everybody bring up your coat. We're not taking pictures. Just
Everybody
take
put your North Face on. Come on.
no, bundle up. And then when we go back over the bridge to where it's warmer, we have heat lamps and everything on the other side of the dunes, then you can take off and show everybody your outfit. But all the girls are competing against one another.
Yeah.
They're all like they're wearing these heels like this for
Mm.
luau, first of all. That doesn't
Yeah.
match. Why are you
That
wearing
doesn't.
heels? Why are you wearing like 3 inch, 4 inch heels?
Well, it could be a luau, but it's still like Saturday night, and they want to look good at a wedding.
So it was all that. So
Yeah.
their all shoulders are exposed. Even the guys are short sleeve. I kept telling the guys, I go, dudes,
Layers.
plural. I said, put on a jacket. It's
Yeah.
very cold out there. I've been out there already. The sun is setting. It's getting colder. The wind is picking up. No, I don't need it. I don't. They're all playing like tough guys, and the girls
Yeah.
are just wanting to strut their stuff. And everybody's
Yeah.
wearing the guys are all wearing like Don Ho shirts, short
Oh yeah. Yeah.
sleeve.
Sure. Yeah.
So I
It's a
get
luau,
there.
for God's sake.
The wedding
That's what you
person
wear. Yeah.
coordinator, she's wearing a jacket. I'm wearing a jacket. There's a couple of other people that are wearing jackets that are working there. And
Wow.
everybody's like this. And they're like, how long is this going to take? 3 minutes in. This is a half-hour
Yeah.
rehearsal.
Well, that seems long for a rehearsal, but yeah.
Well, because they got to come, the bride and groom have to practice coming down. The wedding party comes across the bridge, down
Hmm.
the stairs, and the girls are wearing the heels, and then they got to step into sand and walk in sand. It's like,
Yeah. No. No.
no. So, and I cut everything down. I just said, I'll say this, I'll do a little blurb. I really cut mine down. So my niece is shivering, shivering,
Hmm.
and then she's picking up her daughter or her son, or actually
Which is
Lincoln,
it?
my godson. Well,
Oh.
they were both climbing all over her doing
Oh,
rehearsal.
I
But
didn't know there were two.
yeah,
Okay.
she had my godson Lincoln, and he was getting cranky and tired, so she's holding him, but she's freezing, but she's really grabbing him for
Yeah,
warmth.
sure.
She doesn't want this kid on her while she's doing a rehearsal,
Right,
but she's like,
right.
"Give me him." And she pulls
Yeah.
him close to her bosom just to keep warm. But her goosebumps, everybody had goosebumps.
Hmm.
I said, Lexi, would you like my jacket? She said, No, I don't. No, you need your jacket, Uncle Al. You got to go through your stuff. I go, would you like my jacket? She goes, well, if you don't mind. So I
Yeah.
unzip it, this little sporty thing I have on, and it exposes my North Face
Oh,
puffy
jeez.
jacket, and everybody goes, oh, that's not fair. You cheated.
Yeah. Well,
I said, I had, I had a microphone.
I'm
I said, I told
prepared.
everybody to
Right.
dress up. It's very cold here. So I gave her, she goes, oh my God. She zipped up. She said, that's so much better.
Then she
And then
dropped Lincoln. I don't need you anymore.
she dropped the Lincoln log
Yeah.
right there.
There you go.
All
Boom.
right. So that was it. The wedding was
So
beautiful. The
yeah,
home, it was a 10-bedroom home. So I guess like 20 people or 22 people stayed in the house, and then other people stayed at Airbnbs and motels.
where'd you
But
stay?
I stayed in the main house,
Okay. The big house. You're up at the
and
big
yeah,
house?
I had in the big house. I was in the big
In
house.
Mass's house? Yeah.
I had
Back in the
we
day,
had
that's what it was.
beautiful balconies all over,
Hmm.
3 stories.
Yes.
You
Nice.
know, the kitchen had 14-foot ceilings with glass overlooking the ocean. It was
Sweet.
it was tremendous.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I hope it lasts because those places, you know, Nags Head, that area, those duck, they get wiped out every other year. Hurricanes.
You're exaggerating.
Well, not really. It's a lot because I
The
used to work
dunes
there a
were
lot, and
yeah, the dunes where we were 20 feet high.
oh, okay, it's good, not bad.
But I've also stayed in other places because we vacation with my family several times. We've also stayed where it's like beach, ocean. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
those are the ones that get wiped out.
yeah. That's more what I'm thinking of.
Mm.
But yeah, I used to work the Carolinian. Did you ever do that gig
No,
in Nags Head? It was
that's way south. That's an hour south where we were.
is it an hour? Okay, I was thinking it was closer.
It said 55 minutes.
Uh,
We were off season, so I think you probably could do it in 45.
okay. Yeah, that was a good gig. It was an old hotel, the Carolinian, and they had comedy there. Anita Fletcher, who booked the
Right.
Thorogood Inn in Williamsburg. She had a club in Williamsburg. She was one of those people. She would find a hotel and throw a sign in the
Bank.
the
I've
banquet room, and
I've done them all. I've done
we
them
have
all, but not
comedy.
for her. I did it with Ed and Leslie. They bought the company from Anita Fleischer when she retired.
Ed and Leslie,
Yeah, I
who
forgot
are
their
they?
last names. I'll
I didn't know.
they're just a couple.
I had no
Couple.
idea. No, I didn't know that because I moved to New York during that, I guess, or well, she still had it. I
This
never
is more
did.
recent. This is 8 years ago, 7 years
Oh,
ago.
well, she's been out of the biz for 20 years.
Yeah, they bought the business, the name from her,
Oh, okay.
Outer Banks Comedy Club. Ed was a regional manager for McDonald's, and he had all the Outer Bank McDonald's and a few across the bridge. I think even into Norfolk. So he was like in his car
Yeah.
all week doing overnights in motor lodges and whatnot,
Ooh,
and going in and saying, "Hey, we're
sorry, Ed.
McDonald's. Everything has to be exactly the same
Right.
consistency. Why is this over here? That's got to be over there. That's you can't have this. We
Yeah.
we are
When
McDonald's."
was the last time you had McDonald's?
I had a I had a fillet of fish, I would say in the last 12 to 16 months.
I had a quarter pounder with cheese, no onions though. I ordered no onions, and that's the one that the recall's happening. But
Uh,
when I was in Maryland, we went to DC and hung out, and then on the way back, Jim dropped Olivia and I off. She had her car at my hotel, but next to my hotel was a McDonald's, and it was late, and we'd been drinking, and it was
mhm.
just that you're hungry,
That's
but
it.
boy, perfect. I mean, just
Hmm.
goddamn perfect. Go in there, quarter pounder with cheese, fries,
Hmm.
little 6-piece McNuggets, a Coke. She drove home. I go to my hotel room. Well, you're just like a fat, gross
I
pig.
know it's
Oh, it's so
disgusting
good
food,
though.
but it's
It's so
delicious,
good.
especially when
So
you're
good.
drinking. But there's a
Yeah,
after effect.
not good.
If you're not drinking, and I probably had McDonald's
Well,
three or
without
three
drinking,
or four times in the last 5 to 10 years. I don't know,
yeah,
whatever it is. But it used to be, as you know, as a comedian, you had Burger King and
on the
McDonald's,
road.
the only thing open, and the drive-through
Right.
was open later than the actual restaurant,
That's
like
right.
an hour later. So
Yeah.
we got to get there. We got 5 minutes to make it before they close the drive-through. And you'd be like one of the last people.
Yep.
Look at McDonald's, got to take a order. And whatever was made, you were getting. It
Was that
came out
Trump?
quick.
Was that Trump you were doing?
No,
Oh, he was at the window
yeah, he
last
was.
week.
Yes, he was. It's
3 cars
beautiful.
handed him fries.
It's beautiful, big. It's big. It's huge. It's a big Mac, gigantic. I don't do a Trump.
Well,
That's for
everyone else
Simeon.
does. Everyone else does.
Well, yeah.
God, everyone's doing it. But
There's a guy,
yeah.
there's a few guys making some coin
Oh yeah. On
impersonating.
TikTok, a couple of those guys doing very well.
Bob
But
DeBuono he does the hat. He wears the suit, the hat, the red tie, and he gets corporate gigs up the wazoo.
he's on his knees praying he wins on Tuesday. I need the gig, man. I need
Dude,
the gig.
you're pulling 6 figures, and
We
that's
got a
that's outside of his regular stand-up. So
we're supposedly getting a memo tomorrow saying just kind of advising you don't speak about the
I
election.
got that.
Oh, you got it. Yeah.
Mm.
But the Royals supposedly sending one out too to just stay away from it. And I always have anyway. I mean, I've never, unless someone says something from the crowd, but I'd never bring it up, no matter what.
Not my
I,
thing.
I don't even.
Now, is Joe Unetti? Did he get the memo?
Oh, yeah, Jim Davis. There's a few
Jim
guys
David and
who
Joe Unetti, those
have some
two.
problems keeping quiet, but I've never done it, and I think I don't know. It just never even appeals to me. It's not like even a decision on myself to go. I'm not going to go political. I don't know. I just don't think of it. I don't want to be on stage talking about that.
Not my
You know?
forte. It's never been. It's not just because of the current climate. It's
No,
just I've never. And I remember in Boston there was a few guys that were called like Jimmy Tingle. He was a
sure,
political comedian and he made a career out of it and one man shows and whatnot.
yeah. He was on
He actually,
60 Minutes, even
yeah, yeah,
like the Andy Rooney
yep.
guy.
Before
I
Jim
worked.
Gaffigan.
I met him in Connecticut when I just started, like my third gig in the East Coast. It was Jimmy. It was I think it was the Treehouse, but Jimmy Tingle was headlining. Johnny Rizzo was middling. Remember Johnny
Mm-hmm.
Rizzo?
Mm-hmm.
Make those faces and
Yeah,
whatever.
rubber face.
Yeah. And then I was emceeing and I was completely clean at this time. So I did my 10 minutes completely clean. Johnny Rizzo goes up and he kills with those faces. I
Mm-hmm.
kills. And then Jimmy Tingle goes up talking about, Clinton and Bush and down the toilet. So the next show he
Well, that's
goes,
Brad. That was Brad's bad, not
yeah.
knowing.
So the
Yeah,
next
you don't
show,
put those acts together.
Jimmy goes, he's opening to Rizzo.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
can do 5, and this guy's can do 20. He goes, you have 20? I go, oh, I think so. He goes, you're doing 20, and I'm closing. And then it worked, worked great.
Right.
but it wasn't that he couldn't follow it. It was just, the crowd gets in that kind of
It's
frame of
it's
mind.
the style. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not going to sit and listen to
I
politics.
I struggle following somebody who's really filthy before me because I'm not dirty.
I'm not that dirty, man. I'm not
Hmm.
that dirty. I'm not
Not
filthy.
you. There's a couple of
Oh,
guys
oh,
on the comedy club cruises that are just they'll walk up to me, go, "Hey man, I watched your act. I just want you to know I'm not going to be dirty this show because I know that you're kind of on the clean side. So I'm like, oh, I appreciate it. Thanks. And they go up and they go, double down dirty. They're just filthy just to fuck me over.
it's weird though because these comedy club, cruise ship club, when you really, I work with guys too, but when they're really filthy, I don't. To me, it doesn't work. I mean, out here, it doesn't work because the
Regardless,
age
they're doing the
range.
old psychological. I'm making it about me. They're doing the psychological thing. They want to close because a lot of those comedy club cruise ships, especially the first two nights, the opening spot is tough. It's you got to warm them up, you got to get them in the
Yeah,
mood, they're tired. And when you flop nights like that, whoever goes on first, we all prefer to go on later, when a crowd is all warmed up for the most part,
sure. Yeah,
Although
yeah.
your lineup
Well, I'm not sad that
Simeon and Agata.
Paul Ogata went back to Vegas. He'll be
Yeah.
doing the Cirque du Soleil thing, and Paul's a great guy and a great comic, but I'm not that sad he's not here anymore. Following him
Well, if he
nightly,
because you have three comedians.
yeah,
So if he's going on in the middle and you're closing, that's like,
yeah.
oh my God.
I mean, they've laughed now really hard for whatever it
Half
is,
hour.
35 minutes, and
Mhm.
and then you get up there and you either continue that wave right off the bat, or
You
you
take
can
it
feel it.
down.
You can feel the drop off even. And I do the other way. When I close, I go up slow because I can't continue that for
Frank
35
Santarelli,
minutes.
Frank Santarelli told me that. That's the two ways you can do it. You can try to catch that wave, and if you get it right away, you can ride it out. Or you go, I saw Frank go up on stage after following someone like me, High Energy or Dane Cook, or whoever it was, just go, hey, everybody, settle down. All right.
Hmm.
Let's hear it for so and so, but settle down, focus. He did this whole thing,
Yeah,
and then he'd do a
that's good.
joke, get a laugh. He'd do another joke, get a laugh. Now he's got them,
Yeah,
and he takes them to the end, and
yeah, that's a
and
good.
he kills. It's a different
That's a good way
technique.
to do it. I,
Hmm.
I think you sort of have to, unless you're like a Robin Williams or like an animated comic, whoever that would be.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's just too hard. I mean, these guys are crushing it, and then you get up there, and the audience is like, "Okay, here we go." But if you go, "All right, take it down a notch here,"
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, okay, you can breathe a little." But then you got to be funny. I mean, you
Well,
get about a minute.
Frank's
Sit down,
funny,
tell that
so
joke, and yeah. Well, he's
but he's also
just
mild mannered. He's
But
not,
he's just so funny anyway. I mean,
yeah,
you can just look at
storyteller.
Frank and start. Frank walks on stage, and you're kind of laughing a little
Mhm.
and going, "This guy's going to be great." He just has that look of, he's not going to. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's bombed, but he has that thing of like, can't picture it. I just picture him always kind of killing.
Mhm.
Um, and he was
Very,
here.
very
Check him
high
out, folks. He was
batting
on our
average.
pod
He
back in the
was
day
Frank Santarelli. He was,
from The
um,
Sopranos.
yes, he was on The Sopranos. What was his character's name on The Sopranos?
I was just watching some clips on TikTok. Was it the guy who Tony beats over the head with a phone?
Yes, he
Yeah,
was the punching bag. He was James
yeah.
Gandolfini's character's punching bag.
Did he have a name?
Yes.
Hmm. Jerry,
No.
Bobby, Big Pussy.
Are you just going to throw a Y on, or an
Throw away at
IE at the end
everything.
of everything?
It's Billy, George, more Georgie,
Georgie
Georgie, because they say
with
it.
an IE. Yeah. Mhm.
That was yeah, yeah. What's his name?
His
I
character's
can't
name
think
was
of names. It's
George,
too
but
early.
it's New Jersey mafia. So Georgie.
That's my legal name, George. And in the last 20 years since 9/11, I've been called George more than I ever in my life. Up till 9/11, I was never called George ever. But after 9/11, with the passport and the license, I had to change my license
GSA.
to has to match legal, and anything I sign is George. It's crazy. So I got to go by the George at the airport or wherever I'm traveling. And
A
then people
little
always on
less.
the ship. They always go, "Who's George?" I go, "It's me,
Yeah.
George."
Yeah.
Yeah, George.
Um, I got Al, short for Alfred. So
Yeah,
I hear Al for 20 years. Al Ducharme, Al Duchmeyer, Al Duchame,
Ducharme.
But then all of a sudden, they don't even want to pronounce my last name. They're like, Alfred? Is there an Alfred here? In a
Yeah,
crowd, a sea of people. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh, I got to remember. Oh, that's my name.
yeah. I know,
Hmm.
I know.
Isn't
But
it funny how you'll see another comedian will call you up and his ID on the phone doesn't
right.
match his
Oh,
name?
yeah. I had one with remember Tommy Blaze?
Yeah, what's his real name?
It was like Antonio Biaggiato. It's like, what the fuck? Who is?
So he has a stage name.
Yeah. Well, Tommy Blaze.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a long, crazy Italian name, and I go, "What the fuck is this?" But yeah. Did you ever think of that using a stage name? Did that ever cross your head early on?
Only
Or
because Ducharme
yeah, that's what
was
I
so
mean. It's a
tough. But
little
then I had people go, no, that's your name. You got to use your name. I go, but everybody has trouble pronouncing it.
yeah,
When somebody gets it right, they go, so sorry, I'm going to butcher your last name. Is it Ducharme? I go, exactly. They're like, oh my goodness, I was sweating over it, trying to
but
figure it
nobody
out.
reads. That's why. Like my name is 5 letters, but they call me Ramos because they don't read it. And
Well,
yours, if you read Ducharme, it's easy. Ducharme.
well, I've called you Ramos on video
Right. Well,
because the
yeah,
writer for television, her name, we were crossing paths at comedy clubs. Her name was Ramos.
yeah.
So
But it works for the
switching it.
two dicks. It worked.
Yes,
But I
it's
mean,
Romas.
yeah, it's a running gag. But any hotel I stayed in, when they used to call on the hotel phone, the desk, and it was always Mr. Ramos. Is everything okay in your room? Like, it's Romas. But and in New York, there's 3 Romases and there's 8,000 Ramoses. So I kind of get it. But
Right.
if you just read, like your name looks, if you just glance at it, you go, I don't know how to say that. But if you look at it, very simple. I mean, it's all right there. You know what I mean? It's
Dude,
not confusing.
I just say yes. I don't correct anybody. I get Ducarme,
Ducharme.
Ducarme, Ducarme, Dutch Arm. Dutch
Yeah.
Army is my favorite. I love that
Yeah.
one. Dutch Army. Um,
Captain
Du
Crunch.
Duschemeyer. I'm telling you, man.
Douchemeyer. Well, that
And then
charm,
people
douche, that could be a
emphasize
little.
douche. They say
If you were a
douche
kid,
arm. I go, it's do charm.
did you have to deal with that as a kid at all? Did they go
Ducharme.
douche?
Ducharme is actually quite. I
Did
hear that a
kids
lot.
call you douche
Oh yeah.
arm?
Oh
Well,
yeah, dude. Come on. Hey Al, douche
ooh,
arm.
that's
Hey
a tough one.
Al. Hey
Yeah.
douche. Why don't you dispose of yourself? I've heard them
Well,
all, dude.
well, that's when I drink. I'm sorry. I don't. I
That
shouldn't do
well,
that.
that's why I
Yeah.
went into comedy, making fart noises.
You say my name wrong one more time, I'm making a fart noise. God damn it.
Anybody have a fake leg? Anybody that can hold up like the Statue of Liberty and
Maybe,
crush?
I should do a maybe I should do a show where it's if you have a prosthetic, you get in for free or so, you know what I mean,
Half
in a
price.
club. Half price, of course. Thank
Come
you.
on, it's right
It's too
there.
early. I just woke up, for
I
God's
know
sake.
you wanted to do this at noon. We had the time
I did
change.
2 shows last night, and then rolled out of the rack and got some coffee and drinking the ship coffee.
I'm drinking
it's
Hampton Inn
it's not good.
coffee right
Yeah,
here.
that's probably not much better.
Well, they had 4 or 5 different flavors. They had Columbia 100%. They had the dark roast. I always go dark roast when I get those because it has some oomph to it.
You like it dark? Why not?
Right.
Yeah,
Hey, speaking of dark, did you remember
please.
to turn your cock black?
I did. I did turn it black. Yes.
Damn autocorrect. I'll never, I'll never,
Uh,
I'll never be able to forget that. Last year I posted that accidentally.
accidentally?
Don't forget to turn your cock black.
Yeah.
And There was a bunch of people that chimed in that weren't happy about that.
Well, come on. It's like we were saying, have a sense of humor, really.
Autocorrect.
But I think it's going the other way. I think the whole comedy, I think when comedians were on stage a year ago going, you can't laugh at anything, can't say anything. I think it's turned a real corner with Tony Hinchcliffe and those kind of guys with Kill Tony. And, you know what I mean? I think young people want to hear fucking comedy again, like
Well,
no
the
matter what.
handcuffs, when you try to put handcuffs on comedy, remember last year and the year before they're saying you killed comedy,
Yeah. That's what I
comedy's
mean.
over. No, you're it's a slingshot. You pulled comedy back and as far as you could, and once you let that thing go, it goes in the opposite direction and it becomes more popular. Comedy is again more popular
Hmm.
than it ever was.
It is. And I notice, like, if I'm on stage and if I do something, kind of mild and all, younger people,
Yep.
young guys anyway, they're
Mhm.
like, yeah, okay, whatever. But I get a little weird and edgy-ish. Uh, they love that. They love it. And that's a good sign. I like seeing that, what I mean, they're not sitting there offended you still got your fucking weirdos out there who,
There's always going to be someone
have
who's
an
offended.
issue. Yeah.
And even before all of this, political correctness and took hold, and people getting canceled for various reasons for what they were saying, freedom of speech.
Mhm.
Um, there were always people that were offended, and
Yeah. But
occasionally
they
you get
stay
a
quiet.
you yeah, they were quiet. Now they have a license. Oh,
Right.
I'm offended by that, and then they're also
Right.
programmed. Someone told them, here's the things that you have to be offended by. So they're like listening to every word because they've
Yeah.
been programmed. Things that never offended them in the past, but they're like,
Right.
I know that I'm supposed to be offended by something. And then you could even like touch
Hmm.
upon the subject matter and their trigger is like
Yeah.
that. And they just, I'm offended by that. Why are you offended? How did it affect you? What is your life? How is this? Because you were told to be offended by it. That's
And
my
they're
theory.
they're words. I don't. I don't. And I don't know. Just because I'm a comic, or if I wasn't a comic, maybe I'd be the same way. I can't be offended. You can say these are words. I don't give a fuck. Like, why would you
Bill
be
Burr
offended?
became famous from speaking his mind
Hmm.
and offending some by,
Hmm.
saying Super Bowl in Vegas. This is where
Right.
it's the
But
Super Bowl for whores
yeah.
to come out.
Right.
He was doing it on morning programs, local morning
But it's
programs.
funny, and it's funny though. What's not? That's funny. So when it's like Rickles making fun of the black guy, the Japanese guy, whatever. It was funny, and they laughed. I think it's getting back to that though. I think you can, you know what I mean? Because I did a thing 2 years ago, and there was an Irish guy heckling in the club, and I said something about just how the fact he was drunk and just went with the old Irish drunk
Mhm.
thing. And I
Stereotype
remember
joke. Yeah.
2 years ago, that stereotype got a little bit of a ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
And now it just gets a laugh.
Mhm.
There's no moaning, there's no bullshit. So I look at that, I look at these little moments as like, that's good, that's growth. You know what I mean? We're not going to be this, prude kind of audience or
Mhm.
country, but maybe we
I,
will
I
be.
think I
I don't
told you
know.
one time some woman was going, ah, and you know me, I'm not
During
offensive.
sex?
Yes, during
Oh,
sex or
wow.
during my act.
Oh,
Um, but
same thing.
she
She's being
was,
fucked.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's getting fucked.
Yeah. Either way.
But she was doing everybody else is laughing, having a good time, but she was right next to the stage. She's going, and she was like 70. And I finally had to stop. I go, I made some jokes about it. I go, are you real? I go, you're a woman. I go, of all the things that you've experienced in your life, unless you're living, do you live in a little cabin in a little bubble? You never come out? How are you
Yes.
offended by anything?
Right.
Everybody is laughing. And her husband's like,
Right.
hey, calm down. Don't, leave.
Yeah. You have options.
And I
You
said,
have
do you know that this
options.
is all manufactured exaggerations and lies
Right.
just for the fun? I go, and everybody's like, yeah, so I
Trying to
didn't
get a
want to do
couple
that.
chuckles. That's all we're doing.
I didn't want to, get the crowd against her, but it's just the
Yeah.
way it turned
But
out.
you're right. Where
And
does
then she
she
was
live?
quiet, and then she's like,
And now she's annoyed.
yeah,
But where does she live? It's like yesterday the people are leaving the ship. I'm staying on with Simeon. We're watching people leave the ship. It's like 9:30. They should already be gone. They've made all the announcements. And you see these families just sitting there. with their luggage, just sitting there chatting, oblivious, just oblivious. If people come over to them, you got to leave now. Those people, I wonder, how do they, they pay their bills, they work, they live. How do they do it? Because they just seem they don't get it. You know what I mean? And what are you doing anyway? The cruise is over. It's like sitting in a hotel lobby instead of going home. Go, leave.
Leave.
What?
Leave.
But there's no consideration that maybe there's another cruise and maybe they need to get this place cleaned up and maybe they didn't even cross their mind. Couldn't care less. Just sitting there bitching about, there's no pastries available at 9:30 on the final day.
They don't want to give you an incentive to stay any longer. That's why they say we are serving breakfast from
I think it's good that they do that.
8:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And that means after 8:30, get the fuck off. We have to clean this thing and get more people on starting at 11 o'clock.
I always thought it was very nice of them to do that. The waiters, the whole thing, they have to do a breakfast for these people who are leaving that day, then reset the dining room. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They could easily just close the dining room and just go use the buffet, and that's it.
Yep. The cruise line said we want them to have a full belly for their travel day. But some of them won't get up that early and they go, oh, we missed breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to wait till everybody leaves. And they're going, this is the last call. If your luggage tag has been called, please go to the gangway and get the fuck off the ship so we can turn it around. Get the fuck out. Man, the crew on those turnaround days, the night before with the luggage, the morning, they are just... They're so wiped out. They're beyond tired. And that's why a lot of times they'll have a big party at the end of a turnaround day because they're just so tired. Like, fuck it. I'm going to the bar for the next 2 or 3 hours, dance. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's why you see them you'll see a lot of them the next morning. They're like,
yeah. Well, it's amazing. They're all young though. That's the thing when you're young. Cause I'll see those people and they go, the next morning, and they went out and drank and danced and smoked cigarettes, 800 cigarettes, and knowing they got to get up at 5:30 to work the door, and they can do that.
You're like, I'll sleep 2 days from now.
You can
because they're in their 20s and 30s.
That's right. You and I do that night. We're not functioning the next day. It's
kind of like now.
It's a little, I didn't even drink last night. I'm barely awake. I saw on Facebook a buddy of mine retire. He's retired, and I had a question for you. This is because of my head last night. If you could do it all over again, you're 18, high school senior, would you go into comedy, do what you did, your life, or would you be like, you know what? I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to be all set when I retire at, whatever age. Maybe not happy that way, but you're all set, you're done. Or would you go into comedy not knowing what could happen as we did? We just went into something that there's no guarantees whatsoever. We've been lucky.
We were very lucky.
Lucky.
It clicked for us at an early age. And we were able to get through the adjustment periods of people being, oh my God, I'm never going on stage again. Which, has happened, but we wake up a day or two later, like, oh, I gotta get on stage somewhere.
Yeah.
So we have it. We have the bug.
Sickness.
We have the bug in us. So, I've had some terrific years. I've had some mediocre,
right.
And I've
but
had
would
some
you
bad.
Right now, if I
but
said,
I've seen people,
because you could still do comedy. Like you could be a guy in a company, and you could go walk into the Comedy Connection and do a set, open mic, and fulfill that need. Mm-hmm. Do you ever think that, or would you just go, nope, I'm glad I did it?
I wish I had, again, this is partially because of knowing the business end of I didn't do the business end well. So I felt like I could have, instead of being a hired gun, I would have probably done a little bit more producing and performing.
Right.
But this life has been very good to me. Now, do I have a mansion and drive a Ferrari? No. Do some of my friends that started out? Yes. But I still, the alternative to me is
Yeah.
This is not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. It's great actually, and we've hung out with the funniest, most part, fun people. I've always had a good time. But I just saw that and you think, oh, well, he's done. Like, you know what I mean? He's retired and a company and he's got the pension and the whole thing.
Which is not
But then
easy to do these
again,
days.
right, right.
Because a
Yeah.
lot of my friends, when I was doing this, especially in my 20s and 30s, they're like, hey, when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to do a real thing? I
Yeah.
got this, so I'm working for this company, great. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
In 30 years from now, I'll be all set.
Mm.
Eight
Well,
years, 8 years later, they're laying off people. He's
that's
looking for
true.
a new job. He's
Yeah.
stressed out. He's got the big
No, there's no
mortgage. He's
guarantees
got the
in
two car
anything.
payments. It's just,
Oh, God, yeah.
yeah, and he's a mess. And then they
Hmm.
get something else unrelated. They have to be retrained or go to school for 2 years. I mean, so, and then there's
Hmm.
other people that stay in the same job and they grow and flourish and they
Yeah.
move up. But there's no guarantees, like you said. There's no guarantees for
No.
anything.
Well, it used to be that because the same thing, we started around the same time, and people would say, no security in that, this and that. But really, we've had the most secure job. When you think of the people, we've done this whatever amount of years, and people I know have been through two or three different types of careers in that, and we've had the same thing the whole time, and we've always worked. I don't, I mean, we've never really had a time except maybe in the very, very beginning, but basically, we've always worked. So you
I'm
can't say there's no security for
I'm gonna
us.
say that I've been supporting myself with stand-up comedy for over 35 years with no other source of income. And I think it's probably since I've been doing it, it's 40, I mean, I went
Al
on
is
stage.
75 years
I
old.
went on stage at 17 years old.
Did you really? You were
Yeah,
17?
open mic, yeah.
Damn.
But
Wow.
I wasn't making a living at
No, no. I
it.
wanted to. I didn't, though. I went up once at 18 at the brokerage
Right.
and bombed and went in the car and basically cried and drove home thinking,
Mhm.
I can't do that. It's so hard.
But
'Cause
how much time went by? A
I,
week or two, a
man, not
month?
long. Not long. Less than a month.
Yeah.
I went back.
Yeah.
And Jackie Martling put me on and then he made fun of me. He went up after me and made fun of my act. And I sat at the bar and basically cried again.
And there you are. Here you
You know what
are.
my jokes?
All
You
these
know what's
years
funny?
later.
I remember what. Think about how bad this joke is. I said that people, because on Long Island, they don't take down their signs for garage sales once they have a garage. They put it up on a telephone pole.
They leave it.
Garage sale next Saturday, and they leave it there, and it's just up there forever. And I started doing like old. I was like, yeah, I went to one that was it said the Lincolns were having a sale, and boy, and then I went over there and I just named old dead people, and then Jackie went up and just ripped it apart and crushed. And everyone kept turning around and looking at me. I'm sitting at the bar. They kept looking at me like, oh, you poor kid. I was like, fuck. But it was better than the last time. So then you go drive home going, all right, try that again. But actually, then I took a year and a half or 2 years and joined the Navy and didn't
Yeah.
bother.
I actually took a few years off from it after
Yeah.
my initial, yeah, it wasn't until I was in college. I actually started producing. I produced a couple of shows at my college. I hired some comedians that I met that were coming down from Boston. I was still kind of open micer guy, but I
Do you
started
remember
to.
who you used?
Well, I used some. I used a couple of Boston guys and a local guy. Let me see. It was Rick Beretta was a local guy, comedian Rick Beretta from Rhode Island. His father owned an architecture firm, and he was a draftsman who was going to become an architect. So he was doing it as a hobby, but he was funny, funny local guy. And then, geez, who was it that came down from Boston? I want to say Jay Charbonneau or
Wow.
Chance Langton or
Oh,
somebody.
man.
Yeah.
Jay Charbonneau, I worked with in Nag's Head at the
Oh,
Carolinian.
wow.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Wow. Those are, and then who was the hypnotist from Boston? He came down one year. Big
Well,
guy.
he was from Frank Santos was the
Frank
R-rated
Santos.
hypnotist
That's right.
from Rhode Island, not Boston, but
Oh,
he
okay.
performed Boston had that was the badge. You
Right.
said,
In those days, there were no credits, so he was Boston's
yeah.
Frank
And he did
Santos.
work the tri-state area. And I used to open up for him quite a bit. As a matter of fact, that's how I got my stage legs at Periwinkle's Arcade in downtown Providence, it was called. That was the first comedy club that did it 3 or 4 nights a week. And it was basically a lunch place during the day
Hmm.
for all the city workers at the state capitol. But at night, the owners, they had a bunch of little businesses around downtown. The Kent Co. company, the Kent brothers. And one of the brothers owned this. He says, I want to do some, at night to get the bar going. I
Hmm.
wanted to make money at the bar. And sure enough, it was a hit. Uh, but Frank Santos was Wednesday night, R-rated hypnotist. And
I never
he
rated.
would have music cues on cassette tapes.
Ah,
There was a dual cassette tape player, like a Sony, in the
yeah.
back on top of the refrigerator. And you had to look out the door and wait for the cue. And you had to hit play and stop. He goes,
Oh man.
stop. And you stop. He goes, all right, hit play again. And you play it. And the people
Yeah.
were under hypnosis,
Yeah.
dancing to Madonna like a virgin.
Right.
Ooh. So I was doing all that. But
Yeah.
before that, I'd go up and open up and do 8 to 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Sure.
So that was invaluable stage time.
Yeah. I
And
had
then
those
and then
same things.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
You had to run
Frank
the guy's music.
then Frank said, "Hey, I'm doing these resorts up in the mountains in New Hampshire and Massachusetts and the Berkshires. Why don't you
Hmm.
come bring your girlfriend? You get your own room. We play
Yeah.
golf. We did. We played golf during the day.
Nice.
We had our own room, and same thing. I'd open up like 10 or 15 minutes and then play the tapes.
Right.
One time, the sound system broke down for the tape player, and he said, I can't do my act.
Oh, live by the tape, die by the tape.
So he said, can you go up and do another 20? I didn't
Yeah.
have it. I didn't,
Well,
there was no
there's no
prosthetic legs. It
fart
was
noises. There's no
so,
limit.
so I
It's
went up
that,
and I improvised and
yeah,
I got away with it. It gave me so much
the national
confidence.
anthem under your arm as a fart. That could be a bit. That's fun. You could, it's a lot going on there.
Well, invaluable is what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
That stage time.
Were his cassettes in good shape? Because I used to do that with Angel Salazar. I would open and run his
Ah,
tapes. And the cassettes, and this is like his
the
act. This
late
is so
Angel
important.
Salazar. He just
Yeah, we
died like a
lost him.
month and a half ago.
Yeah. But his tapes were in such shitty condition and you couldn't even read what was written because I need and I'm like, could you at least buy new cassettes? And oh yeah, man, yeah, I should do that. Yeah. But it's like it was faded out. So he handed me 4 cassettes. He was like, play this one, then this, and then and half the time I was just guessing. I'm like, I don't even know if this is A or C or B or D. I don't know. But he would get through it. But same kind of thing. And and then those guys they were cool because they would be like, hey, if you can do that again, have you open again. And that's how you get on stage. Like, that's when people ask, how do you start? Those are the ways. There's no mystery. It's
Yeah.
just whatever. Get on
Then Frank
stage.
started booking the Brass Rail restaurant and bar. Had a function room down
Where was
below.
that? That sounds familiar.
I think it was Massachusetts, but there was a bunch of those places.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Brown and Thompson
Oh yeah,
in
I heard of that
Connecticut
place. Yes, yes,
that had
yes.
the railing, the brass
Sure.
rail.
Green, Hunter's Green with brass. This is called the
Yeah.
Brass Rail, and it was a
Mm.
full blown restaurant upstairs that was killing it. And then Frank said, "Hey, you got this function room down here. I went to a wedding reception." He goes, "How about doing comedy a couple of nights a week?" So all of a sudden, Frank's getting the door,
Mm.
and then he's like, "Hey, you go down there,
It's $20.
run the place, and you perform, and I'll pay you X amount of dollars." It was like more money than I've ever seen in my life. I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Yeah.
So then
Is he still
now
with
I get
us, by the
stage
way?
time. No, his son took over. Frank Santos Jr. is doing the R-rated hypnotist show now.
Yeah. Did Frank passed?
He passed, yeah.
Oh, he was a big man. That's why I
Yes,
ask.
I think he probably passed away. Oh, it's at least 15 years ago, if not 20.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, so his son is doing
his
okay, because
son
I've
is doing
seen the
it
name
now.
still.
Yes,
Gotcha.
yeah, his son is probably in his 40s, maybe
Oh,
50.
okay. Hmm.
Yeah, and successful.
Nice.
Hmm.
Nice. Good
Hey,
to
we have
hear.
to wrap it up because I have to.
Yeah, man.
I have to deal with the New York City Marathon.
There you go. You're back. A little
Glitchy.
gap there. Little glitch from the Hampton Inn and at sea. But so you head to Manhattan, or you joining the ship
In
in
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? Okay.
I'm in Queens. I got to take an Uber to Brooklyn, but the marathon is happening. So it
Oh,
says it's 44 minutes away. I'm thinking it's double that with the marathon. So I got to get going.
you got a $200 Uber ahead of you.
But it's MSC, so I just get reimbursed.
Oh, cash, or you send it in.
I send it in.
Okay.
I think I'll find
Because
out.
Carnival, I remember Carnival would pay. You just give them a receipt. They give you $200
Celebrity,
cash.
Norwegian, they
Pretty
used
cool.
to Disney, you bring your receipts and then somebody at a counter would go, okay,
Yeah.
here you go. But then there was a scam. There was some inside stuff going on. Somebody was submitting receipts.
I remember at Carnival, and then the comedian, I won't say his name, but he used to tell me all the time, you got to give yourself a little raise. That was his.
But there was someone on the inside
Oh, on the
involved.
inside.
So
Yeah.
everybody was getting paid off.
This guy would just have a $25 cab and he'd make it $40, that kind of
Wow.
thing each time.
Yeah,
And then
give me a
eventually,
receipt. Give me blank. Can you just give me the business
that's right.
card?
Yeah. He got caught and canned.
Yeah, of course.
But I remember I was in a cab with him. He's like, got to give yourself a little raise. I'm like, yeah, I think they know what it costs. I don't.
Yeah, but because if everybody's paying $18 and you're
And we're all
paying
coming from the same
38,
hotel. Yeah, over.
it's a matter of time.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
There was another scam where somebody on the inside was involved, so they could control it,
Oh,
keep it on
an
the down
inside
low.
job.
I think it went for a couple of years, and people are like, hey, because they get greedy. They go, hey, we did $48. Let's do 68.
Right.
Eventually, someone's going to do the books
You will get caught.
audited, and they're going to go,
It all
why
comes out
is
in the
this?
wash.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right,
All right,
dude.
Skipper.
Safe travels, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
So long, man. Have a good trip.
Iceberg, dead ahead. Don't forget to review us and rate us. It really helps.
The Talking Dicks became friends at a very young age, and the rest is history.
I'm losing my mind.
Patreon.com/The Two Dicks, which is named after our web series.
This is the Two Owls, One Pod podcast.
Thanks for tuning in.
Done.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
We'll fix it in post, you son of a bitch.
All right.
Okay, sure.
All right. Subscribe. Mary. This was a horrible mistake.
Go to patreon.com/forward the two dicks.
If you shoot me, you won't see a cent of that money. Why?
I think it ends on that. That's beautiful.